Hello, everybody. I'm Skip Elsheimer. Welcome to the AV Geeks Lunchtime Streaming Show, where we watch old 16mm films, and I hope everybody is safe. There was lots of rain for different reasons across the country. We missed a bunch of flooding that hit west of us, hit Chapel Hill and Durham and other counties in North Carolina, thanks to a tropical depression that came through. And the Raleigh force field held, and we just got some drizzly rain, which is great. But also the tragedies in Texas, really horrible. And so got a film, coincidentally, about weather. And it's missing the title, and it's missing the ending, so I don't know if the title really is, but on the can it said Characteristics of Weather Theory, but somebody could have just made that up. So here it is. Enjoy.
Surface covering. Stagnation of the air in these regions is common. Also, certain large water areas in the tropical regions meet the requirements for source regions, and characteristic air masses develop there. During the period of stabilization and accumulation of air north of the polar front, warm, moist air approaches the polar front, converging with and rising over cold, dry, heavy air from the northeast. When, due to various causes, the cold air mass has pushed a section of the front ahead of the general boundary, a salient of this cold, dry air is created, which obstructs the advance of the warm, moist air from the southwest, creating a low-pressure area to the east of the outbreak. This is accentuated by the fact that the southwest winds in this region to the east of the low-pressure area are being deflected to the east by the Earth's rotation. Thus, wherever two winds meet in this manner, both being deflected to the right, the area of low pressure, which was started by the obstruction to the flow of the warm air, will be intensified. The region within and behind the salient is inherently a region of high pressure. The low pressure area forms at the crest of the wave salient. High pressure to the west is due to the density of the cold winds from the northeast, their forward momentum toward the southwest, and the damming up of the winds from the southwest. Air continues flowing in from the north, and continuously increasing pressure back of the polar front reinforces the momentum of the southward moving cold air mass. It will also be urged of the low-pressure area to the right. This latter force is opposed by the deflecting forces of the Earth's rotation, which urge it to the west. As the process progresses and the lower pressure area becomes intensified, the west to east force increases. The north to south component decreases as the air mass moves further from its source. The deflective force due to Earth's rotation decreases as the mass moves toward lower latitudes. The cold air mass, therefore, gradually shifts more and more toward the east as it reaches lower latitudes. And acquires a component of motion toward this boundary. The boundary is called a cold front, the term being defined as a boundary along which cold air is advancing. Warm air is moving away from this front and toward this boundary. which is thus known as the warm front. It advances against and rises over the cold air ahead of the front. The cold front is colored blue on the weather map. The warm front is shown in red. With the wave as a whole, a dynamic component tends to continue the motion eastward in a manner similar to the propagation of waves through water or any other elastic medium. As circulation about the low-pressure area becomes more pronounced, the cold front overtakes the warm front. Cold air is advancing more nearly perpendicular to the cold front and changes the shape of the wave since it meets a yielding opposition of the warm air moving away from it, whereas the advance of the warm front is effected against the opposition of the cold air, which has a component of velocity toward this front. Going back to the early stages in the formation of a wave and viewing a vertical section along this line, we have cold, dry, northeasterly winds on the west side and warm, moist, westerly winds east of the boundary. The heavy air will underrun the lighter, warm, moist air in the form of a wedge, lifting the warm, moist air above it. At first, there is little motion of the cold air normal to the front, therefore little advance of the front, and only slight lifting of the warm air and relatively few clouds. But as the motion of the cold air shifts more toward normal to the front, the cold front advances more rapidly. There is more rapid lifting and expansion, with resultant cooling of the warm, moist air. More clouds are formed, ultimately developing precipitation. A vertical section on this line across the warm front shows us the front advancing slowly, southeasterly winds ahead of the front and southwesterly winds behind it. The air masses on both sides are moving away from us. Lifting and expansion of the warm, moist air takes place as it overruns the cold air ahead. In the case of a well-developed wave such as this, the lifting and expansion are sufficient to develop clouds and precipitation. Clouds may be cumulus with heavy rains, as here, or stratus, that is sheet form, with steady light rain. Lifting of the warm air at a warm front is accomplished by its own momentum and is called an active upglide. The cold air wedge is retreating before the advance of the warm air. The slope is less steep than on the cold front. On a cold front, the cold air wedge advances, underrunning the warm air and forcing it upward in what is called a passive upglide. The slope is steeper. More rapid expansional cooling takes place, and thick cumulo-form clouds are developed, which are frequently associated with heavy intermittent showers. Omitting for a moment the winds, clouds, and precipitation, let us observe the progress of a typical wave across the continent. The forces of convection have built up an air mass along the polar front, which breaks out and moves southward. It acquires a component of motion toward the east, which increases with the development of the wave until finally its energy is spent. Such outbreaks are subject to great variation in intensity and in direction. Reviewing now the development of this atmospheric wave and observing more closely the distribution of its cloud formations, we see clouds forming in advance of the warm front. In the early stages, owing to the absence of any marked convergence of winds on the cold front, there is little lifting and expansion, and no clouds are visible there. As the cycle advances, clouds spread over a larger area along the warm front and begin to appear along the cold front. There is precipitation over an extended area along the warm front, which for technical reasons is not here shown. No clouds have appeared on the warm sector, as there is no lifting process in operation there. There are now intermittent showers along the cold front. Clouds are spreading farther ahead of the warm front, reaching to a distance of several hundred miles. Still farther in advance of the front, there will be high, thin, whitish veils called cirrus or cirrostratus. As the cold front overtakes the warm front in the manner previously described, the wave enters an unstable state as a sharp break appears near the crest. The overtaking continues with increasing intensity of all phenomena heretofore observed. Until finally, the warm air is lifted off the ground by the two underlying layers of cold air. This process is known as occlusion. That part of the wave boundary between the two cold sectors where the warm air has been lifted is called the occluded front. It is here shown by a dotted line extending southward from the center of the low-pressure area. The former warm front boundary now marks in a general way the boundary east of which heavy precipitation occurs. The wave continues, moving generally eastward with the characteristics described until the forces which created it are spent and their energy dissipated. This portion of the weather map of March 14, 1939, shows a wave with its crest in the low-pressure area west of Chicago. The wave is just breaking into the unstable state. The warm front, represented by the dotted line, extends east from Illinois out into the Atlantic Ocean. "12 hours later, the occluded front reaches from Lake Michigan almost to Lake Erie. The cold front, shown by the lighter solid line, has advanced about 300 miles. Again, 12 hours later, the occluded front has lengthened and reaches from the vicinity of Lake Superior almost to New York City. The warm and cold fronts have advanced as shown. On March 16th, 48 hours after the occlusion first started forming, it has moved northeast and increased until it reaches from Hudson Bay to about Portland, Maine.
All right, so weather can be incredibly boring and tedious, which is why I think that a lot of local meteorologists often go to where there's hurricanes and natural disasters and get caught up in it, because that's exciting. Storm footage is exciting, unfortunately. I mean, there's an incredible toll that's taken on people's lives and livelihoods and etc. And so I think it's important to for people to know about weather and to share that information so we can make rational decisions about what we can do. Be prepared. That's all I'm going to say. Here's a poem, the poem, as Evocation. Enjoy.
The mill was torn down last year. And stone's internal grey light gives way to new green, a shading of surface color, like the greenest apple of several. The spate of Marthas and Tabithas, incessant Hirams and Josephs, is stemmed in the valley graveyard, where the censored quarrels of loving and the hatred and by golly gusto of a good crop of buckwheat and turnips end naturally as an agreement between friends in the sandy soil that would grow nothing but weeds or feed a few gaunt cattle. And the spring rain takes their bodies a little deeper down each year. And maybe the earliest settlers, some stern Martha or speechless Joseph, perhaps meet and mingle 1,000 feet down. And this story about the grist mill, rented in 1914 to a man named Taylor by the last of the Roblin family, who demanded a share in the profits that poured golden through the flume because the new miller knew his business. And the lighting altars. Here and now changes to then. And you can see how a bald man stood sturdily indignant and spat on the floor and stamped away so hard the flour dust floated out from his clothes like a white, ghostly nimbus around the red scorn. And the mill closed down. Those old ones. You can hear them on a rural party line sometimes. When the copper wires sing before the number is dialed. And then your own words stall some distance from the house you said them in. Lost in the fourth concession or dimension of wherever. What happened still happens. A lump in your throat, an Adam's apple half a mile down the road permits their voices to join living voices and float by on the party line sometimes. And you hang up then. So long now.
Sorry about that. I was like running across the room. I'm sorry. I hope that wasn't in the dark too long. Yes. All right. So we've had two men speaking esoterically about different things. Let's hear a young teenage boy who's got a heavy, heavy problem. So this film I showed, probably in 2020, and I just did a new scan of it, and it is by the same people who did All My Tomorrows, that did The Day I Died, a couple of other ones, The Flotas, and so this one is all in the thoughts and the head of this kid, and what he did. Me, a teenage father. Enjoy.
Jeez. A few hours of forgetting, then wake up and the whole mess hits like a ton of bricks. Oh, I wish I could sleep for a year. Ah, what good would that do? Oh, Carol, I know it's worse for you. Jeez, every time I see you, you're crying. That's not gonna get us anywhere. We can't cry ourselves out of this mess. was so crazy about you. We had such a ball together.
Bite my foot.
Laughing and loving. It was sweet. Like some kind of dumb romantic song, I guess. But now it's gotten so I almost hate you. Oh, I don't really mean that. I just feel like a trapped animal. I want out. I want out. I don't know what's wrong with me. That day when you found out your test was positive, all I wanted to do was split. Get on the first plane and get lost. I keep remembering all those rotten things I said. Like, how do I know it's mine? So if you did it with me, there could have been others. How could I even think, let alone say something like that to you?
I don't know what to do. What do you want to do?
I don't know.
Everything's wrecked now between us. I don't even want to go near you. Why do I want to make it out to be all your fault?
And when you're through with the dog, I want you to take out the trash and straighten up your room. And you're not going out tonight. I want you to stay home. I want you to do your homework. You understand?
Yes, sir.
Dad and my stepmother treat me like I'm an idiot. Like, didn't I know where babies came from? And who do I think I am, sleeping around and getting girls pregnant? Didn't I know that 2 and 2 makes 4? That if you drink too much, you get drunk? If you drive like crazy, you have a smash-up? If you have sex without using protection, the gal gets pregnant? That's right, Dad. I'm an idiot. Who wants to be a father at 17? I've got other plans for my life. Why did everything have to get spoiled? Just when things were going along real good. Just got my car paid for. Making enough to have a good time. Paid for birthday and Christmas presents and all. But a baby. Oh, wow. I mean, who counted on supporting a baby? Doctor bills, baby food, clothes, all that stuff. Man, I can't begin to hack that on a part-time job. And her parents. Huh. They think I'm the pits. Got the sweet little girl pregnant. Not that they say anything. They're too anxious to keep me sticking by her.
Carol's sick.
She's been feeling pretty lousy all day.
She's upstairs.
My friends say I'm crazy if I let them pressure me into marrying her. It'd be bye-bye college. Stuck in some stupid job. Jeez, what am I trained for now? Nothing. Home every night with a crying baby. How long could I stick that out? Even if we went to live with her folks, and I kept going to school, and we both worked some, and, jeez, the whole setup gives me the creeps. All of us living together in that dumb little house. Oh, Carol, it's not gonna work.
Oh, look at it. Isn't this adorable? Oh, Randy, look at that. Isn't that cute?
Girls, they gotta be nuts when it comes to babies.
So many you clothes?
Here's
here?
Carol cooing over baby clothes and...
look at this. Isn't that
Oh, it'll be so
fish?
cute.
great?
Like it was some kind of doll or something. Sure, I want to have a kid someday. That's normal and all, but not now. Oh, Carol, why'd you have to go and get pregnant?
Carol, Randy,
The abortion clinic looked clean
This
and
is our
decent and
procedure
safe
area.
to me.
we have 4 rooms.
I know deciding to have an abortion is a real serious thing, and Carol's got a lot of mixed feelings about it. I have too. You gotta feel guilty about killing your baby. Only it's not really a baby yet.
The doctor begins the abortion by inserting the speculum just as if he's going to do a pap smear. Have you had a pelvic examination before? Okay, so you know what a speculum is. It's inserted in the vagina. The doctor will put a tenaculum on the cervix to hold the uterus steady.
The counselor there says I mustn't pressure Carol.
Just enough.
It's a decision she's gotta make herself. But geez, she's only got a couple more weeks to make up her mind.
The appropriate length and
No matter what she decides, I can't just walk out on her. I've gotta do the decent thing. I only wish I knew what. My stepmother says the best thing would be for her to give the baby up to be adopted. She says neither one of us are ready to be parents. She's right, too. I don't want to be a father. Not now. But Carol, she cries every time I mention adoption. How can I give up my baby? She keeps saying. I'd always keep looking for it. It does give you goosebumps. Thinking about your own kid somewhere out there and you don't know who it's with or where. If she keeps the baby, I can help her. Give her what I earn. Then someday when I have a decent job, or maybe she marries someone else, I can really do something for the kid. Most of my friends feel sorry. They really do. But geez, when you think of some of their crazy advice, you know, for Carol to bring on her period, falling downstairs, taking some concoction of mixed herbs, all that Dark Ages stuff. Some of the guys, though, hang tough, like Bud. He knocked a girl up last year and just laughed the whole thing off. Said she should have known what she was doing. Hey, I wonder if he really meant that. Or if he was just talking tough. Maybe under all that big man stuff, he felt as crummy about it as I do. My Carol. She was so sweet and kind of innocent. Maybe it was more my fault for pushing the whole thing. I mean, telling her everybody does it. And how else could she prove her love for me? I don't have any excuse. I guess neither of us do. We both knew where babies came from. I mean, Carol talked enough about us being careful and all. But sometimes it was just sort of fun to forget and let go. Oh, why didn't we have sense enough to know we were playing with fire? I mean, how dumb can you get? Carol, I do want to help. I want to do what's right. I don't know why people seem to think a guy doesn't give a hoot. It isn't true. A guy has feelings, too. I never wanted to hurt anybody. And now I've made everybody miserable. your family, mine, and making a poor baby that no one wants. Carol, if you only knew how low I feel, how absolutely rotten. I'd give anything in the world if... Carol? Carol, I promise, whatever you decide, I'll do my best to help. Honest.
So this one at least offers some decisions, and I can't remember. There's another one or two that are the same by the flotas, the woman, the couple. But the day I died, there's no decisions. He's dead, and then all my tomorrows, the woman is in a coma and is utterly brain damaged. So there's no choices there. It's all just looking back at like, oops, shouldn't have done that. And at least this one, oops, I shouldn't have done that. But we have options. So, all right. This next film, it's been a while since I've shown this, but I have shown this in the past. But it's so good. And we recently scanned it again. In this, we see Hank Hill from King of the Hill being crushed to death. Enjoy. This is Hazards Around Bins and Hoppers.
The rise in the accident frequency rate of various mining and milling operations in recent years has led mining safety officials to take a closer look at the industry to determine the causes behind this increase. Materials in bins and hoppers tend to feed from the center. Depending upon the type of material and other conditions, such as dampness, it may bridge, leaving a hollow place. Anyone on top of the pile could cause a cave-in and a fatality. In other cases, again depending upon the material and conditions, the material may hang up around the sides of the enclosure. The material could at any moment break free. Anyone caught inside trying to relieve the hang-up could possibly be buried. Oversized materials, too, may bridge or hang up. Ideally, this oversized material may be broken up with machinery so that no workmen have to put themselves into a dangerous situation. A large rock may also hang up in the crusher. Again, the best method to overcome the problem is to use machinery. A grappling hook enables the operator to dislodge the material without exposing himself to the powerful grinding action of the crusher. Despite the fact that many surface mining and milling operations are automated and remotely controlled, and that machinery may be used to overcome the problems of hang-ups and bridging, there are times when men must do the work themselves, thereby exposing themselves to dangerous or hazardous situations. Whatever your job with the handling, transporting, and storage of loose materials and ores, you should know the safe procedures for breaking loose or freeing hung-up and bridged-over materials. The first, and one of the most important steps, is to cut off the power to the machinery, stopping the flow of materials, and locking out the supply and discharge equipment. Never work alone when exposing yourself to a hazardous situation.
My belt on here.
Okay.
If there's a chance of falling, you must wear a safety belt attached to a safety line. And the line must be snubbed securely and attended by a second person.
Is that too tight? You got plenty of room?
Knock down any material that could possibly fall onto you before you enter the dangerous area. The safety line must be kept reasonably taut at all times, allowing proper slack while the bin is being entered, but kept the proper length to prevent you from being engulfed if the bridged material collapses or caves in.
Let's put it out and around your ladder there.
The second person must be in a safe position and capable of rendering assistance if required.
Give me a little more slack.
Okay, Dan, is that enough?
Okay.
The Federal Mine Safety and Health Act of 1977 specifies that no employee shall be assigned or allowed or be required to perform work alone in any area where hazardous conditions exist that would endanger his safety unless he can communicate with others, can be heard, or can be seen.
You okay?
Yeah. Okay, I'm coming up now.
Only after cleanup, repair, or maintenance work has been completed and the workers are safely out of the way, may the equipment be restarted. Warning devices such as horns, sirens, or loudspeakers must be used to alert all personnel that the equipment is to be restarted and that normal operations are to be resumed. We must stress again to all personnel, no matter what your job is, the importance of following strict safety procedures when working around the various kinds of bins and hoppers used in a mining and milling operation, particularly where there is a chance of being buried by loose material. Contrary to what many people believe, you do not have to be completely buried in order to suffocate and die. When weight and pressure of loose material, such as sand, compresses a person's chest, death can occur from heart failure due to pulmonary congestion. Every time you exhale, or with each additional breath, your chest cavity narrows and the surrounding material presses in, squeezing and compressing your lungs and heart tighter and tighter until you can no longer breathe. In addition to men intentionally entering bins and hoppers to relieve bridged materials, There are other potentially dangerous situations and activities around any mining and milling operation. Trips, slips, and falls are always potential sources of injuries and fatalities. Openings to materials handling and storage facilities can often be guarded with access covers and doors to prevent falls and possible entrapment. To be effective, these doors and access covers must be kept closed and latched or locked to prevent entry, either unauthorized or accidental. Hazardous work areas can be found around open bins or hoppers having platforms, travelways, or elevated catwalks from which men may fall. Hazardous areas such as this should be protected by railings, barriers, or barred grizzlies. Or you must attach a safety line of the proper length before starting work. All elevated walkways, stairways, and working platforms throughout the mill should have guardrails or similar barriers to protect workmen and materials from falling. And of course, walkways should be kept clean and unobstructed. All openings leading to a hazardous area or dangerous drop must be kept guarded.
Starting R2 north, starting R2 north.
You must exercise caution around moving machinery used in a mining and milling operation, especially around the many conveyors that supply and discharge from bins, hoppers, and storage piles. Extreme precautions must be taken around drive, head, and tail pulleys, and other pinch points between pulleys and belts. Work on and around new construction should also be performed with caution. The greater size and complexity of new constructions may introduce new danger areas.
Careful walking here. We sure don't want an accident on the first day.
New employees or employees who are assigned to new jobs should be made familiar with the facilities in their new work environment.
Two of the hazards that do exist and ways to keep from getting into trouble. Let's stop here a minute.
So why does this stockpile here, where does it go from here? What do they do with it?
Well, the reason for the large pile.
And be instructed on the possible dangers and the safety precautions that they must take.
They pile it up here and then draw it off as they use it.
When the conveyor belt is running, is it all right to get up on the pile?
Absolutely not, Berta. There's no way that you went up on that pile. There's a couple reasons why. You see, when it comes to a cone, there are several places around the side where that goes down in.
I think.
There is an inner pile which sinks in as the conveyor, which is under the pile, draws the material down and carries it away. This draw point around the perimeter is a very dangerous area. And at the base of the pile, there is a constant danger of being hit by falling rocks. To be safe, stay away. Sometimes, depending upon the material, a surge pile will draw from the center straight down, leaving an inverted cone or funnel. To be safe, stay off of all surge piles. From the quarry to the final destination, materials handling is almost all done with machinery. Automation and efficiency are on the increase. The operators of front-end loaders, trucks, conveyor belts, and hoppers are the workers who come closest to the material under normal operations. Bins and hoppers and other storage facilities are often equipped with devices such as vibrators, grappling hooks, and mechanical diggers to avoid delays in the flow of materials. But there are still times when workers with simple tools have to do the work by hand. You may have to relieve a bridge or a hang-up, or clean or inspect bins and hoppers. Whatever work you are doing, remember these points. When material must be barred loose, a long enough bar must be used and the worker must be in a safe location. Start at the top and work down, knocking down all of the material that could fall onto yourself before you enter. When entering a bin or hopper, a second person must be standing by with you. Safety belts and safety lines must be used. Hang-ups should never be approached from beneath. No matter how much safer mining equipment is designed or how many additional, stricter safety laws are passed, it is up to you and every individual miner to stay healthy and safe on the job. It is your responsibility to learn from the safety training provided, and then put this knowledge to work by following safe working practices in all phases of your job. You must be constantly alert, be able to recognize a dangerous situation, use caution. Do not endanger yourself by getting into a hazardous position. And, most importantly, put safety uppermost in your mind. Think safety, and you will act safely.
Sorry, I was finished eating a hot dog, which I don't think I'm supposed to be eating. So Wednesday, I'm gonna have the colonoscopy. Hooray! It's my second, because I had my first one, and then they're like, oh, well, you have to follow up in 5 years. So 7 years later, I decided to get my second one. It is a pain in the butt, but not for the reasons that you think. It is all because of diet. And so the payoff is that I get to see if I have colon cancer. But I don't think that's going to be a problem, but, you know, you just do it anyways. And if you haven't had one and you're due, do it. Go for it. It is inconvenient, but the possibility of you having something else that's worse, like cancer, is even more inconvenient. So trying to knock this out. And so Wednesday. So that's going to be a pre-recorded show. Let me apologize for the Friday show. I was mad. And if you know me, you know why I was mad and why I was not feeling very patriotic. So what did I do? I showed a bunch of films made for police officers about bombs. And so I'm sorry if that was off-putting. I think it's fascinating anyways, but I think that I was just mad, irritated. And I was like, well, what am I going to do? Because I've shown 200 so many times on non-patriotic things, and I wasn't feeling it. So I was like, what else about 4th of July? Fireworks. So I showed a bunch of films about explosions. So I apologize again if that was problematic for you or you were bummed by that. So I'm going to end early because I have to go get my prep from the pharmacy, which is, if you don't know what that is, it is not fun. And that will happen tomorrow evening after my show. So thanks for watching today. I very much appreciate you guys watching. This is why I do what I do. And honestly, over the weekend, my family came. Nate, who you remember, my nephew who's on the show, my sister, my brother-in-law, one of Katrina's cousins, and we just kind of hung out and had good food and just had a great time. So that is what it's all about, is spending time with people you love. And that's what this show is about, spending time with people that I love. So thank you so much. I feel very lucky and honored to have you folks in my life. So yeah, so I'm going to go to the drugstore. Everybody have a great rest of your day. If you like what you saw, hit the thumbs up, hit the like button. You can donate via the super thanks button. You can go to ko-fi.com/avgeeks or patreon.com/avgeeks. Those are all great ways to support us, but just being there in the comments means a lot. So we'll be back tomorrow, where I will be on a clear fluid diet. Thankfully, coffee is part of that. I can have coffee with just black coffee, which is what I prefer. So I'll be good. Excuse me. All right, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Love you.